Well, Razorback fans, you got a big one tonight. Arkansas, LSU, Baton Rouge. Is it the must win for the Razorbacks to get to the NCAA tournament? Let's talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I'm your host, John Neighbors. I'm also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Arkansas and LSU will be facing off here in just a little bit. So we're going to do a little pregame action, if you will. And what better way to do it than to welcome in on a TB1 Tuesday? Of course, it's Nick Luttrell of TB11 down there in Little Rock. And Nick, as always, appreciate you joining us, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for having me. I'd be doing better if the Hogs got a win tonight, but I'm sure we're going to talk about if and when that will happen.
I know. It's just in all the sports, man. It just feels like it's constantly just beating you down. But we got to keep going, keep grinding it out, and it could happen tonight. And people don't really want to maybe dive into it too much and thinking about it, but just the what if game we talked a little bit about on this morning's Locked On. But I want to get your thoughts. What if Arkansas wins? What if Arkansas loses? Kind of just what does the impact have on the season, on the future, on what's going forward? Just how do you feel like the impact of this game and the result of it could have on Arkansas this season?
It certainly feels weird at this point in the season. Normally talk about a must-win scenario being, towards the end of the season, trying to make the tournament or improve your record or whatnot. But this, you would just feel so much better if Arkansas did get the win, because then that would show you that, okay, Arkansas is able to beat the teams they're supposed to beat and lose to the teams maybe they weren't as expected to beat or to lose against. I don't think people should be freaking out yet about this Arkansas team because it's been 3 straight games that have been relatively rough, but it's been 3 teams that are in the top 25. In fact, all of their losses this season have been to teams in the top 25. And this is a team, an LSU team. I don't know a lot about them. You probably don't know either, but they're not in the top 25. And I think they were supposed to be picked maybe bottom 5 or so in the SEC. So I think Arkansas is the better team in this one, and they've been the better team in a couple matchups this season. And to get this win would be obviously their first win in the SEC, their first win in conference, but it would just add a little bit of positive juice that is there's not much positive juice around this program right now. And it would be a step in the right direction. It wouldn't be monumental. It wouldn't change the season from how people thought it would go. But if they can win, that's all that matters. If they win by 20, that's great. Then we'll be really confident. But if they just win on the road in the SEC against any team, even if it's a team like LSU who's not very good, then that would give you just a little bit more confidence than you might have had the day before.
Yeah, because right now Arkansas is flirting with not even being an NCAA tournament team, and the SEC doesn't get any easier. But luckily for Arkansas, even though these are road games this week, you got LSU, very winnable. Missouri, who's a much better team than LSU, but still one that you feel like you could win if you play your A game. You're in that position to where, all right, you don't need to lose anymore that you're not supposed to. You got 15 games left, but starting 0-3 puts you in the hole. And that's really where it comes into play too, as far as, what it looks like and who is going to help you out with that. So tonight, I mean, we could sit here and talk about, Nelly Davis needs to play better. Everybody on the team needs to play better. We know. But who is the specific player that you feel, if you got told this player had their best game tonight, Arkansas wins, who is that player, you think?
I hate to steal the name you just gave me, but even before you said Nelly Davis, that was the name on the tip of my tongue, where it's like, man, you just want to get him going. And you thought you had him going with, maybe the first half against Ole Miss on, last week on Wednesday night, in a game that they lose, but a game that he shows promise. And then you just kind of throw that all away after the Florida game. That's how we feel as the media / fans, but that's probably not how he feels. And based on the way he's shooting the ball, even though he's missing it every single time in this past game, he still looks confident shooting the ball. And so I'll give him credit for that, and I'll give the team credit for that. I don't see a lot of in this team. I don't see a lot of quit yet in this team at all, and especially not in Nelly Davis. And I don't think he was a spot up 3-point shooter at FAU, but he's become that a little bit at Arkansas, even though he's not making those spot up 3-point shooting, the 3-point shots. I'd like to see him drive the ball, dribble a little bit more, and I'm okay with him passing it and moving the ball around. But when he has the ball, when he has some space, if he has a guy that's guarding him who he knows he's better than, then drive the ball, attack the ball instead of just taking that easy shot. And the shot, it looks good. I think he has a great jumper. It's just not going in. And what's the recipe for, a shooter as good as John L. Davis, who shot the ball so well from beyond the arc last season? It's to keep shooting. And so I would love to see him get confident. And he has some confidence in him right now. And that's with him going over in the past game. So if we can see him continue to make those shots, then that confidence will just go through the roof. And it feels a little weird to say keep shooting because it was just so bad to watch because he kept missing. But that's what you got to do to get out of a slump, I think.
Yeah, and it's been weird watching him, knowing the type of player that he has been. This isn't a true freshman that got all this expectation and pressure, which he does have a lot of pressure on him. I mean, he's the number one transfer portal player coming out of the transfer portal. He's been to a Final Four. He's a guy that kind of came in knowing the type of numbers that he put up. And so if he's unable to put up, and I think that's make it even worse, it's not even like he's getting close. It's not even like, oh, well, he was averaging 20 and he's only averaging 14 now. No, it's like he's averaging less than 8 points a game, and that you just can't have that. So they got to find a way to turn it around. But the problem is I'm getting close to the point, Nick. I don't know about you, but I'm getting to the point to where I'm almost just wanting to move on and be like, all right, you're not getting them. Like it's almost like you're not going to get him. You just got to, okay, let's focus on Adu Thiero, get him as being the guy, Boogie Flan being the guy. I just don't know how much longer fans and myself can hold out and just hoping and praying and assuming that Nelly's going to figure it out because, geez, I mean, you're 3 games into conference play. I know 15 games is a lot, but for a seasoned veteran, it shouldn't have to take this long to get your game going.
No, it shouldn't. And kind of where you're getting at here. Me personally, I'd give him a few more games before I'm ready to say, all right, less playing time, come off the bench, do something different with your rotation. Don't give him the green light for every single shot like Cal seems to be giving him. Just wait a little bit and be patient and move the ball a little bit more. That's what I would say after a couple more games of him shooting like this. Right now, I think I'm still okay with giving him the green light. That's not for anything that I've seen that he has done this season. That's what I've seen him do in the past. And granted, I've just watched highlights of him. I haven't watched a full game of John L. Davis playing at FAU, but I've seen the highlights, and a lot of Arkansas fans have seen the potential this guy has. And, I'm a sucker for the rankings too. He's, like you said, number 1 or number 2 in the transfer portal rankings. So he has to wake up at some point and be that guy we expected him to be. Again, I want to give it a few more games, and then I'm right there with you. I'm right there with what you talked about in yesterday's podcast of might have a little some boos coming out from the crowd if he continues to shoot like this and continue to get the green light like he is right now.
We're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about the Razorback football team and the coaching staff and how well it's been taken into tact. So we'll do that and a lot more coming up next. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, we're here to tell you about, of course, our great partner of Gametime. We all love going to live events, sporting events, games, everything, and we always need a ticket. But I know that all of you can remember those times that you went to a game and how much excitement surrounded it, how great it was. Well, if you're going to go to another one, if you want to have that feeling again, you need to get the Gametime app and get your tickets that way because they made it even easier to get tickets to your favorite events with the new feature Gametime Picks. This feature filters out all the fluff and show you only the incredible deals on the seats. So you don't have to spend time wasting all searching through thousands of tickets. You can find the best deal right up front. And recently, I know a lot of us have been looking for tickets, especially for Razorback basketball events or with baseball season coming up. You're going to need those. And they make it so easy because of the Super Deal. The Super Deal is impressive where it offers seats at unbeatable prices, plus all the apps all-in prices, show all the totals up front with no surprise fees at checkout. And the best part, when I won, I get paid instantly. It's that simple. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, so continuing our THV 11 edition of a THV 11 Tuesday here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast with Nick Luttrell of THV 11. All right, Nick, switching over to football. I know that it's kind of got a little quiet, a few players popping here and there as far as additions to the Razorback roster, but something that maybe gets lost in all of that was about the continuity kept with the Razorback coaching staff. It's college football, major college football. We've seen coaches come and go like crazy, especially assistants. And I was trying to look back on even the years under Sam Pittman. He did a good job of keeping coordinators, but even a positional coaches, a D-line coach seemed like they went through one every single year. Strength and conditioning, all of that. But this year, in this offseason, Arkansas, at least at the point of the time of this recording, anything can change. They've only lost Darren Wilson, who was the cornerbacks coach. I'm not trying to say he wasn't a big deal or replaceable or anything like that, but just as far as you're doing the power rankings of the 10 full-time coaches, he may have been lower on the list.
Yeah.
And so the question I have is, if you're a fan and if you're Sam Pittman or whatever, is this a good thing that you kept everybody? Or is it maybe not so good because nobody else wanted them, or you didn't want to make any changes that you wanted to make for more money? Like, what do you make of keeping the coaching staff from last year to this year?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings on it for sure, because a team that goes 6-7, you want to be able to make some changes, and they didn't make many changes with the coaching staff. They did with player personnel, but I don't know if player personnel was really the issue this past season. Probably the biggest issue, we can all agree, was turnovers. So who does that fall on? Probably Sam Pittman, and that's his own, he's not going to fire himself. He's not going to retire, as we've seen. He's going to be the head coach going forward for this team. It also might fall on, the coordinators, of the defensive coordinator enforcing turnovers, and Travis Williams, or the offensive coordinator, and by Petrino, and not turning I don't know. Maybe there needs to be a secondary, or a smaller coach that just focuses on turnovers, because that was certainly the issue. But I think on the look at the pros and cons of this, of the continuity aspect of this, I think it's a good thing, because continuity is good, especially in a world in which things change so quickly now with college football and coaches and athletes, and everything is changing so quickly. Maybe it's good that all these coaches, these older guys, stick around and they try to build something here. I think it does show promise that they want to still be a coach under Sam Pittman. I think that shows a lot about Sam Pittman and maybe the kind of coach he is to them. I think it's Eric Mateos who talks about it a lot, especially since Pittman has been known as the offensive line guru, or I guess at least he was. But Mateos has talked about before how Pittman just kind of lets him do his thing. And I think a lot of coordinators probably feel that way, or secondary coaches or whatever with the Razorbacks. They probably just kind of want to do their own thing, and Pittman lets them do their own thing. Now, has that caused Arkansas to have really great seasons when Pittman has done that? No, not really. So maybe you should change that. But he is allowing them to kind of do what they want. And I think, from a personal standpoint, they probably like that. So again, looking at it from a pro perspective, I think the continuity is good. Will it result in a better team next year that goes more than 6 or 7 wins? Probably not. It's still so far to look out and try to guess that. But I think I would lean towards trying to answer your question here, lean towards the side of saying it's more of a good thing than a bad thing that all these guys remained on staff.
Yeah, and it's funny because everything's about money nowadays, and it doesn't seem like anybody got any raises necessarily on the staff. That they talked about the NIL and how they wanted to spend more. But yet, if you just look at it on the surface and on paper, it doesn't look like they spent more. Maybe they did, but it's just the facilities haven't changed. Just a matter of, okay, the money. It just didn't seem like they spent any money, more than last year. And maybe I'm wrong about that. But I was a little surprised to see coaches who may have gotten other opportunities. I'm really shocked to see Travis Williams staying on. I thought that he would be a guy that would move on too. But having Petrino with your starting quarterback, I think, is going to be big. And also the job that Travis Williams as well as Marcus Woodson has done on that defense. You got to replace a lot of guys, but it at least gives you something to look forward to and something to bank on to say, hey, we'll see what the talent looks like, but we know what we get with these coaches and especially those coordinators. I think people are still fairly pleased with the job that both coordinators did this past season. They just got to step it up this year.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point you bring up. I didn't think about the money perspective of it. And like you said, there's probably stuff that we don't know that go on behind the scenes, like with where that money is being spent. But I think at least for me, all my attention is on, okay, where's the money spent as far as NIL and as far as these players? That's taken so much of the what we talk about in the media is how much the players are getting paid. We often forget for these smaller coaches, what are they getting paid? Some of them are getting paid less than the players now. That's just the world that we live in. It's pretty crazy.
It really is. It really is. Well, Nick, before I let you get out of here, man, I know THP11 down there is always staying busy with everything. The weather's come and gone a little bit, so I'm sure that kept y'all busy this past week. But what's going on the sports side of things there at THP11 this week?
Yeah, a lot of basketball. I know we just ended the show talking about football, but yeah, lots of basketball going on. We got a lot of in-state teams that are doing much better than the Razorbacks are doing. Honestly, right now, both the Little Rock, or I guess the Little Rock women's team is doing really well, and so is UCA. Arkansas State men's basketball team is pretty good. Joseph Pinion drained back-to-back three-pointers in the last minute of the game and their win, I think, against Troy over the weekend. And that was a site where it's like, I mean, that's great for A-State. I wonder if Razorback fans kind of miss that guy. So Pinion's got kind of hot and cold, just like he was with the Razorbacks, but it's been fun to cover that Red Wolves team and some of the other local teams within our area. And then high school basketball conference season is starting very soon, or just started this past week. So yeah, a lot going on, a lot of basketball. It's pretty fun.
It is fun, and hopefully it continues to be fun. But you can catch all the action right there at THP11 down there in the Central Arkansas area. You'll be able to see Nick Luttrell. Almost did it.
Oh,
Luttrell. It
we were
slipped.
doing so good for
I
so
know.
long.
I had a good run, but it just had to be at the end though when it happened.
Yeah,
so, but it's Nick Luttrell of THP11, and we always appreciate it, Nick. Great stuff, man, and enjoy the week. And we look forward to catching up with you next week.
All right, John. Thanks so much, man.